Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today let's go over another premium medium question in the database/pandas category that I just solved on my own. So again, I'm glad that I was able to come up with my own solution to this problem without any assistance and do it relatively quickly. So let me show you how I did it. This one's called Find Top Scoring Students. And yep, so this question asks you to write a solution to find the students who have taken all courses offered in their major and have achieved a grade A in all these courses. Okay, so there's quite a bit of information here, and return it with the student ID in ascending order. Okay, so there's one column in the result. So first of all, we have to find the student ID and their major, okay, because that's going to be used here where we're going to map this to this, and we're going to say computer science requires data structures and algorithms, math requires calculus and linear algebra. And then for each student, we're going to see, first of all, they have to have gotten an A in the class, right? That's one of the requirements. And then they have to have gotten an A in all. So anything that's not an A, we don't even care about that, right? And then if it is an A, then we include it. And then for the students list, we include the course ID, which maps to data structures and algorithms. Okay, the computer science got an A in both of these, and that's the requirement for this one. And Alice took computer science, so then Alice would be part of the result. So do that for each of the people. Hopefully that makes sense. So let's go ahead and code it up. So for I, S enumerate students, student ID. So what I did was I just mapped, so let's call this student to major, and we're just going to say S to M of the ID is equal to the major. So students major of I. Okay, so now what we want to do is go through the requirements. So the requirements, let's just call this major, is a default dict of type list, because we're going to use the course IDs to determine which the major requires. So for I am in enumerate major or courses major, maj of M, that major itself. So that's going to, we're going to append the courses course ID of I. Okay. So now we have so computer science we know requires DSA, and math requires calculus and linear algebra. So now we can go to the enrollments table and start to see what each student took. So for IE and enumerate enrollments, and let's use the student ID, and let's call this took is default dict of type list, because we're just going to compare these two to see if it's satisfying using this as the intermediate to find the actual major itself as a lookup. So here we're just going to say, okay, so first of all, the enrollments of grade of I has to be A. That's the prerequisite, because it says right here, and all these courses, if that's an A, then we can include it. We can say took of the, so we want the student ID, so E, and we want to say the student took this course. So enrollments, course ID, and then I, because we don't care about the semester here. And now we basically have everything every student took. So now we just have to, let's print took. Okay, cool. So we don't need this as a list, just need one list, not multiple sublists, not in a matrix. Okay, cool. So now we want to compare this back to CS, because we know student 1 selected computer science, so that's the point of this list. So let's go for T and took. Let's say the selected major is going to be what? Is going to be, so the student ID maps to the major, that's STOM of T. Let's see SM, so that's going to give you the major now. Cool. And then from the major, now we have to get the requirements. So requirements is major of SM. Let's print the requirements. Cool. So now we can just compare took T and make sure took T has to include everything inside of requirements, right? Because we only include everything that's an A. So I like to do it is just saying if counter of took T, so everything key value pairs, because you can't just compare two lists directly. If that's bigger than or equal to counter of requisition, then that's one of our answers, right? So all the values and how many times they appear are at least bigger than or equal to. So let's say this has 203s, it doesn't, but just take an example, then this would at least have to have 203s as well. So in that case, then the student IDs are what we want. And now we just have our answer. So it's pretty smooth sailing. So we can just append T and then that's it. So result is pd.dataframe, result of student ID, it is equal to answer, and then we just return that, okay? We also want to sort answer because it says right there in ascending order. Okay, let's run this. Okay, submit it. And there you go, passes all test cases. Again, I'm really glad that I was able to come up with my own solution to this problem and solve it on my own without any assistance. And again, achieving a 100% runtime in memory, which is quite rare for a solution that represents my own work and that I came up with all by myself. So, yep, that's it for this video. As always, if you found this helpful, consider subscribing and stay tuned for more.